Tonight, desperate hopes to find a missing woman alive more than 24 hours after a devastating home explosion. Politicians putting Pacific aggression in the spotlight. The Defence Minister's key meeting following his blunt message on China. Flight fight, furious passengers battle for compensation after major delays wreak havoc across the country. And how Bluey is taking the lead in a fresh push to sell Australia to the world.
This is 7 News with Angie Asimus.
Good evening. Emergency crews are clinging to hope they will find a missing woman alive. It is more than 24 hours since a devastating explosion levelled a home in Sydney's west. Robert Avadia, the missing woman has been identified.
Angie, police and emergency services certainly know exactly who it is that they're dealing with. They know who is missing. She did not go to her place of work yesterday after this explosion at 1 p.m. and certainly her family is aware that she is missing too, and she does happen to live in this unit block. So there's not too much guesswork there at the moment, but there is plenty of guesswork on whether she might still be alive. Now, police rescue have been here now for more than 24 hours, and it is still considered a rescue effort. We had that confirmed from the New South Wales Fire Brigade not too long ago. Having said that, it has also been said to me today that although miracles do happen, it would take a miracle for this woman to still be alive. There was tapping beneath the rubble late yesterday afternoon. From what I understand, that tapping and any signs of life have ceased. Now, that is not to suggest she is definitively dead, but it certainly does not look good.
Look, obviously the family are concerned, and they have raised the concerns in relation to the person being missing in the first instance. Right. So, as I said, this is a real rescue operation at the moment.
This is still well within the window for someone to survive.
And Rob, gas is being blamed for this explosion.
Well, gas is being blamed, not with a forensic certainty, Angie, but certainly anecdotally there is the suggestion that a blast this big must have been caused by something like that. On top of that, you've had quite a few comments from residents here at Wayland suggesting that they smelled gas not only yesterday but in the past couple of months and even years too. Now, as I say, there's no forensic certainty linking the two, but given the nature of the explosion and the fact that that's what witnesses are telling police, that obviously has to be a very, very high priority for investigators right now.
I couldn't get out. There was no stairwell. It was gone. My neighbour's unit was gone. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. I hear the boom.
I was standing in my kitchen, and then there was just this unearthly explosion.
Now, some very emotional people, as you can tell, Angie, that we've spoken with today. Those who survived, those who have relatives or friends who survived too, but even those who are now homeless, who have been walking the streets with bare feet trying to find some sort of accommodation as investigators try to work out exactly what happened here.
Rob Avadia reporting. The Defence Minister has confronted China over dangerous decisions in the Pacific. He warned he will not tolerate military harassment in international waters. Live now to political reporter Isabel Mullen. Izzy, some difficult conversations took place.
Yeah, absolutely, Angie. Good afternoon. Richard Marles really has the unenviable task of standing up to China while trying not to offend our biggest trading partner. Overnight in Singapore, he met with his defence counterpart, Don Jung, and raised unsafe and unprofessional conduct by the Chinese military. We know that Navy divers from the HMAS Toowoomba were injured in a sonar attack last November, and also a Chinese military jet detonated flares towards an Australian Navy helicopter some months later. So both of those incidents were made public. Richard Marles conceded there have been more dangerous interactions, but none met the threshold to report to the public.
It was a very frank conversation. We raised a lot of things. I'm not going to go into his response. I mean, that was a matter that we spoke about privately.
Richard Marles has finally done, weeks later, the absolute bare minimum.
And Izzy, a new poll reveals the majority of Australians fear China is a growing security threat.
Yeah, absolutely, Angie. This new poll shows that Australians are really lacking confidence in China, just revealed from the Lowy Institute overnight. It says that 53% see China as a security threat. 2 out of 3 worry it will be a military threat in 20 years' time, and 17%, only 17% trust China to act responsibly. So plenty for the government to juggle ahead of Chinese Premier Li's visit to both Canberra and Perth later this month. Angie.
Isabel Mullen in Canberra. Furious passengers across the country left stranded by refuelling problems at Perth Airport are today dealing with the after effects of the delays. Lucy Murray, some passengers are receiving compensation.
Some have, Angie. Jetstar and Qantas have gone above their policies in what was an exceptional situation. More than 60 flights were cancelled or delayed, leaving thousands of passengers stranded here at Perth Airport. The airlines provided accommodation and food vouchers to travellers that missed their connecting flights, but that only helped a select few. Passengers who were in Perth on holiday had to book extra accommodation and they were not paid. Virgin also did not provide any additional compensation.
The next available flight for me is on Tuesday night. So I was leaving last night and now I've got to extend that extra time. It was extremely stressful. I was really emotional.
Been awake for 24 hours or more, so yeah, a bit crazy.
Where am I going to stay? What am I going to eat?
The cancellations were outside of the airline's control. The fault was here at Perth Airport with the fuel pump. The operators are in discussions with airlines about compensation. Now, there were extra flights put on last night and this morning. The backlog has now been cleared with most passengers on their way, and flights here at Perth Airport are now running on schedule. Angie?
Lucy Murray there. Fresh protests have broken out in Israel as citizens and world leaders call on Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a peace deal in Gaza. The UK and France have backed the American proposal, Hamas also welcoming the plan. Hugh Whitfeld has more.
Thousands of people on the streets of Tel Aviv supporting the peace plan backed by Washington and pleading with Benjamin Netanyahu to sign a deal to get the hostages home. The Israeli Prime Minister is facing domestic pressure and political pressure too. One of the main opposition leaders saying he'll prop up Netanyahu's government if the PM does the peace deal. That would include a 6-week ceasefire before a handover of hostages and then the reconstruction of Gaza. Netanyahu in a tweet saying Israel's condition for ending the war has not changed. That includes the destruction of Hamas. Western allies, though, are building pressure not just on Netanyahu but Hamas too, appearing to accept that the terror group is a party to peace.
And the crucial thing now is that Hamas must accept this deal, and the world should be looking at Hamas and saying, look, you have the ability to bring this suffering, to bring this loss of life, to bring this terrible devastation to an end.
Emmanuel Macron, the French president, tweeting in French, English, Arabic and Hebrew, the war in Gaza must end. We support the US proposal for a durable peace. The hopes, though, of Israel heading to the negotiation table, pretty slim right now.
The first polling of US voters since Donald Trump's guilty verdict in the hush money trial has shown a slight dip in support for the former president. A poll found 10% of registered Republican voters are less likely to vote for Trump following the conviction. President Biden is still behind in 7 swing states, 6 of which he won in the 2020 election. Still to come in 7 News, Boeing's space launch bust, the major failure, seconds from takeoff. The moment a climate activist defaces a priceless Monet. And how Bluey is bringing a tourism boom down under. That's next.
Carpet Call have $50 million worth of stock to clear from our warehouses nationwide. Luxurious cut pile carpet for under $35 per square metre. Hybrid timber flooring from under $40 per square metre. Plantation shutters from $275 per square metre. And take up to 50% off our range of rugs in-store and online. It's our annual warehouse clearance, so what are you waiting for?
Call, Carpet Call. The experts in the trade.
Create stories for life on a scenic France river cruise. Discover the gastronomic delights of the South and be guided by culinary masters. Indulge in some of the finest wines in beautiful Bordeaux. Pay tribute at historic sites in northern France. Relax in truly all-inclusive ultra luxury. Scenic France river cruising in a class of its own. Book now to secure economy flights included and a bonus hotel pre-night.
Doesn't get any better than this.
Extra gooey caramel, coated with luscious Tim Tam chocolate. Discover our most indulgent Tim Tam range ever. What more could you wish for?
Experience the evolution of motion with the Cherry Emotor 5. With intuitive controls for expression, advanced safety for protection. For a limited time, with the $3,000 factory bonus available across the Emotor 5 range.
Amart's 48-hour flash sale starts tomorrow. Buy one item and get your second half price store-wide across all lounges, living, bedroom and more. Don't miss out. Sale starts tomorrow at Amart.
Fancy Feast. Culinary inspired. Cat adored. Every delicious detail, every delicate bite brings you and your cat closer together. Fancy Feast. Love is in the details.
A Queensland driver has had a narrow escape after ploughing his car into the front of a home in Brisbane's east. The front of the Wakerley property crumbled in the crash. A couple inside at the time weren't injured. The driver, a man in his 20s, was breath tested at the scene. Police are investigating what caused the driver to lose control. Troubled aircraft maker Boeing has been left red-faced, forced to cancel a spacecraft launch moments from liftoff. The attempt went right down to the wire before controllers were forced to step in. Here's US correspondent Tim Lester.
For Boeing, a long-delayed goal to take NASA astronauts to and from the International Space Station. For a while today, it looked like the company's luck had changed. Boeing's Starliner space capsule, perched on an Atlas V rocket, its historic first mission with a crew so close, the commander had even made his own one small step remarks.
We are one nation, under God, indivisible. We together use the power of that combination. We can do some pretty amazing things.
But not today.
Hold.
The countdown paused 3 minutes and 50 seconds before liftoff.
I know it's a little disappointing. We were all excited.
Key figures in the program explaining that in a bank of 3 computer systems designed to all independently clear the launch, only 2 gave a green light.
The leading suspect would be either a hardware problem or a problem with the network communication between the 3 computers and the system that interrogates them.
The setback comes 4 years after rival SpaceX achieved the same milestone, but it may only be a brief delay for Boeing. Another launch attempt is expected mid-week.
Today we got really close. It didn't work for us.
It's been 10 years since Boeing won a contract to build Starliner and make ferrying astronauts to and from the International Space Station routine. Way behind schedule, way over budget. When Starliner finally does carry its first crew, it's hard to know if Boeing will applaud or let out a sigh of relief.
Parts of Germany have been hit by catastrophic flooding, sparking dam bursts and dramatic rescues. Helicopters and swiftwater crews are being used to pull residents to safety following torrential rain across southern regions. Thousands are being urged to evacuate their homes. States of emergency have been declared in several areas, with more heavy rain on the way. A climate activist in Paris has defaced a painting by French impressionist Monet. The woman spread a blood-red poster over the painting to draw attention to global warming, telling followers on social media, "This is the nightmarish image that awaits us if no alternative is put in place." The painting of a blooming poppy field, completed in 1873, was not protected by glass. Australia's favourite blue heeler is taking the lead in a fresh tourism push, selling Queensland to the world. Bluey is front and centre in the new campaign, launched with a unique world record attempt across the state. Ned Baum has more.
There's plenty of reason to celebrate in Queensland today. Not only an attempt at the world record game of keepy uppy behind me, but also a landmark agreement between the state government and Bluey to make sure the Healer family is front and centre with any international tourism advertising going forward. The new $9.2 million campaign also stars Queensland's own Robert Irwin to let travellers know Bluey's World exists in real life and it's right in our own backyard. Attempting to cash in on the incredibly popular show to entice kids and big kids alike to visit the Sunshine State and see all the sights they've grown so familiar with. Tourism and Events Queensland anticipates more than 1.3 million visitors will travel to Queensland as a result of the initiative.
What stars in every Bluey episode is Brisbane. You know, I love recognising iconic Bluey locations.
We've got a whole over 700 deals on Queensland.com of industry players who are creating packages for families.
To celebrate the announcement, fans set a world record of keepy uppy, with thousands joining in on the Gold Coast, Brisbane and in Cairns. This all coincides with the countdown to Bluey's World opening in Brisbane this November. Of course, the game of keepy uppy is already famous in households across the world. Only time will tell if those families make their way to Queensland.
Good game. Thank you, Ned. Well,
Sure
sports
is.
next with Mel McLaughlin. Mel, a familiar face back in the Blues.
Yeah, that's right, Ange. Axed as captain just a week ago, James Tedesco was rushed into camp this afternoon. Coming up in sport, Dylan Edwards puts on a brave face after injury crushes his dream of a Blues debut in Origin 1. And Freo on top in the top end. The dazzling Dockers dominate the dismal Demons.
Australia is facing one of its toughest decisions as the race for Australia's official twisty heats up. Early polls suggest that chicken and cheese are neck and neck. Do they even have necks? The candidates have been on the campaign trail, taking every opportunity to garner votes. Early polling data suggests a mere 3% difference in support. Don't forget to have your say on Australia's official twisty at chickenversuscheese.com.au.
Make it your best breakaway with Cadbury.
Made it.
Ooh, this flight was yesterday. $14.95 9-piece dinner. Great shout.
Get a 1.9% finance rate this end of financial year. Choose from select variants of Nissan Navara, Qashqai and X-Trail. Hurry, offer ends June 30. Search Nissan offers today.
I might look like I'm babysitting, but I'm actually loving Japan.
Rather be in Japan? Jetstar has great sale fares to get you there from just $324. Ends 4th June, excludes checked baggage, conditions apply.
Welcome back. Recalled Blues fullback James Tedesco says he doesn't feel like he has a point to prove in Wednesday's State of Origin opener at Accor Stadium. When Dylan Edwards was ruled out with a quad injury this morning, the Blues sought urgent approval from the ARL Commission to bring in Tedesco, who was not named in the extended squad.
A bit of a wild 24 hours. Madge called me yesterday after the captain's run and said that it could be a chance, so I just had to wait till this morning, and I was either going to bed playing a game today or coming into the camp, so it was a bit crazy, but I'm just, it's obviously a huge honour.
Tedesco says he feels desperately sorry for Edwards. New South Wales relocating to Sydney today from their Blue Mountains base. Last night, the Dolphins and Raiders traded field goals to send the game to Golden Point. The Dolphins had a match winner disallowed for obstruction. Jordan Rapana put the boot in for Canberra.
He's got to go! Jordan Rapana wins the game! It has somehow floated through the posts!
The Dolphins had appeals for obstruction ignored, one of many grievances for coach Wayne Bennett with referees.
I suppose my players need some answers. That's all. That's the only satisfaction we'll get. As I said, you'll have to ask them. I can't answer those questions because I don't have the answers.
The Dragons scored 22 unanswered second-half points to beat the Panthers 22-10. It was a dirty day for the Demons in Alice Springs, belted by Fremantle to the tune of 92 points. It is their biggest loss under Simon Goodwin in 8 years and sees them slide to 9th on the AFL ladder. The Dockers had 12 different goal kickers in a win that lifts them to 6th.
Sarong! His first goal of the season is something special.
Richmond suffered a devastating blow with draftee McKelty Lafau rupturing his ACL in last night's loss to Geelong. He's the 5th player from the Tigers to suffer the same injury this year. Matilda's coach Tony Gustafson expects a much improved performance from the Matildas tomorrow night. Their Olympic farewell game against China at Accor Stadium doubles as a tribute to retiring goalkeeping great Lydia Williams.
It's important that we, focus on our preparation leading into the Olympics, but to be able to do both at the same time, I think is pretty special.
Gustafson says more first-choice players will be available than in Friday night's 1-1 draw in Adelaide. He named his 18-player Olympic squad on Tuesday morning. It was also a record-extending win for Madrid's Carlo Ancelotti. At this year's Paris Olympics, you won't want to miss Eileen Thickamatana, one of the 4 weightlifters named to the Australian team today. The Fijian, with the best smile in sport, won gold for Australia at the Birmingham Commonwealth Games. Eileen says she'll do it again in Paris.
Standing here today, I can't say much because it's a feeling that I can't even describe in words.
Thickamatana celebrated her selection with a 116-kilo lift, the new Oceania record in snatch. Alex de Minaur is the first Aussie to reach the round of 16 at the French Open in 17 years. De Minaur fought back from a set down to beat German Jan-Lennard Struff in 4 sets. The Demon is the only Aussie still standing after Thanasi Kokkinakis fell in 5 sets to 12-seed Taylor Fritz. Lorenzo Musetti stunned Roland Garros, taking a 2-1 lead over world number 1 Novak Djokovic.
Oh my goodness, one of the best points for Musetti.
Djokovic clawed his way back in the early hours of the morning, dominating the final 2 sets to win in 5. Olympic champion Jess Fox returned to the top of the podium as she builds towards Paris at the first World Cup event of the season in Germany. Fox bounced back from a rare below-par performance in the K1 final to dominate the C1. After just scraping into the final, Fox claimed gold by more than 8 seconds.
The course was tough, so we can see on the results it was a hard race, and I'm just so happy to be back and looking forward to the next few races.
The 29-year-old will defend her Olympic C1 title in Paris. No doubt about it, a repeat of Tokyo, but it's a fairy tale as well, being in France.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mel. Well, still to come in 7 News, we'll take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast right around the country.